Hi everyone, welcome to another interesting wellbeing conversation brought to you by the Busy Women Club and the Wellbeing Directory. And today I'm having a lovely chat with Linda McEnaney, who is from a company called Coda Hypnotherapy. Linda is one of our members on the directory. So welcome, Linda, today to our chat.
Thank
We're
you.
having a very gentle conversation about all things hypnotherapy. So let's start off by understanding how did you get into hypnotherapy? What was your background before? People usually have a before and an after story. So
Okay,
tell
so
me about yours.
my background is I was a biochemist by original training and spent over 30 years in the pharmaceutical industry. So I love all things like science and how the brain works. And I just thought I'd be in that career forever, So I
Yeah.
worked in pharma. I was in technical and latterly in quality, and was a quality director for a number of years. Stressful, busy, but I absolutely loved it. I guess my pivot point really was about 5-6 years ago when really busy time at work, as we do. We have these stressful times. About to have an inspection at work by the government agency just at the time of COVID and everything, all good fun, working on a big busy site even through that. And unfortunately, I collapsed at work,
Oh,
taken off to
wow.
hospital, lots of tests, and fortunately, nothing too serious apart from the fact that it was extreme stress, which was a bit of a kick up the backside that things happen.
Wow. Honestly, this subject of burnout. So we need to talk to you again in December, don't we? Because December is my month for burnout, and that preparation for Christmas, it's the end of the year, it's when we all seem to collapse after everything. But burnout is such a big issue for many of us. I've experienced it myself. Um, and the regrouping afterwards is really, really difficult, really complex, isn't it? For women, I think
Yeah,
particularly, we have so many strands to our bow that it's really hard to come back from something like that.
yeah. And I think recognizing it now, it was an extremely busy, stressful time at work. There was a lot going on supporting family, and also the big thing, which I'm sure that a lot of people watching this will relate to, I had perimenopause. That despite lots of questions and asking about the brain fog, the extreme tiredness, the anxiety, the palpitations, all those things affecting my day to day. So I was in a very stressful job, but not feeling that I was anywhere near my best self, and I think that just added
Mm,
in.
mm.
And
And
I
I think
think
I think that's improved, hasn't it? I mean, how
absolutely.
long ago was this?
This was only 2020, and I'd already had,
Yeah,
investigations and blood tests. They thought the joint
yeah.
pain was due to arthritis when clearly it wasn't. Unfortunately, I got a very understanding HRT nurse who really helped me and completely transformed. And I got just feeling more able to cope and focus. So I think all that stress and anxiety was just perpetuated by medical things that weren't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
dealt with. So that was my pivot point. So decided that, I could be everything to everybody and be busy at work, but I can be replaced at work. I wasn't being able to replaced at home. So wanted to do something completely different. So
Mm,
took some time working out what did that look like, what was possible, and hypnotherapy kept coming up. I think it's that
right.
basis of, I've been in the pharmaceutical industry helping people indirectly for many years, sort of like all those patients that help with those medicines that we've made. But I
Mm,
felt like I wanted to do something much more direct. I'd trained in Reiki about 14 years ago, love it,
mm,
but I only tend to see family and friends.
yeah.
Lots of questions as a scientist. Well, how come you did Reiki? And it's also, well, everything's based on energy, surely, isn't it? And there's
Mm,
always
mm,
this pull to healing and helping people, and hypnotherapy just kept coming up as a one-on-one way of directly helping people, but based in neuroscience and research evidence. And yeah, hence I investigated and just went, you know what, if I don't do it now, when will I ever
I
do this?
love that. I love that bridging of the two worlds. And
Mm,
you know, we have a little local support group in Cheshire for therapists, and when we had our first meeting, I was absolutely amazed how many people sitting around that table had this quite intense scientific background who'd crossed that boundary over
mm,
into well-being work. Uh,
yes.
uh,
Yeah.
you know, I suppose should I be surprised? No, not particularly. I think when you're working, have one foot in one world, it can highlight where you're not, and the opportunities that might be available doing something else. But
Yes. Yeah.
bravely, really, and there were lots of ladies in that room, weren't there, who had
Yeah.
transgressed and crossed over to doing something therapeutically based from that world.
And I think we do end up in that, a bit of that, you know, we end up in a certain career and we're sort of like on the treadmill of, you know, having young families and caring and the career and drive, drive, drive. And sometimes
Mm,
we stick our head up and go, is this actually what I should and could be doing? And
yeah.
sometimes it takes that something from left field to go, hang on a minute, you know, I can actually take, it doesn't take away from that previous experience, but I could be doing something that's more fulfilling and is more aligned to what I feel I should be doing rather than just
So
carrying on.
hypnotherapy was your thing.
It was my
Um,
thing. Yeah.
and it gave you that sort of bridge between science, neuroscience, as you say, and therapeutic work. So who are your clients now? What how does your practice look?
I see adults and children for lots of different issues, which I love it. Kids take no prisoners, do they? So,
No.
and well, you know, on reflection, I think I do really enjoy working, especially with women, because I can relate to so many different phases of the life. The busy, overworked
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
somebody who's, you know, trying to care for elderly patients, parents, maybe going through menopause, you know, so just helping
Mm.
women almost like find that joy again amongst everything else that's going
I
on.
can really relate to that because when I set up the Busy Women Club and gave it that name, I wasn't actually thinking that it was about just about women.
Mm,
It was more from the point of view that I was a busy woman, and I got what being a busy woman was. So yeah, I can relate to what you're saying there, that you're probably best at working with what you know
mhm.
and what you've experienced, because they're naturally your specialities, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that whatever stage of life, that like the overwhelm, tiredness, sometimes doubting yourself, it can feel a bit relentless. Uh,
Mm,
it shows up then affecting like your mood, your relationships, you know, and also your physical health as well, affecting like
mm,
sleep and maybe IBS and stress and things. So to actually help people move through that just feels like a tremendous honor at times, really. And I have been there, you know, I have been stressed, doing too much, feeling lost, you know, but believing it could get better if I just did more, kept going, you know, it's going to get better, it's going to get better if I just carried
mm,
on doing what I
mm.
said yes to. So it made me ill. So I'd like to help other people not, hopefully, not get to the point that I did and see
Mm.
it's actually a resource that can help them feel more calm, take back control, reduce the stress and anxiety, and just be able to cope better, you know, and whatever.
Yeah, so a real reset for you, and that's what you're
Yeah,
trying to translate out there
yeah.
to your clients. So, what are the common threads? I mean, I worked, as you know, as a hypnotherapist for many years. My mainstay of work was in sports, and then with children in trauma, and I used hypnotherapy as well as other techniques within that psychotherapeutic background. So, but I did notice, as I'm sure you do, that common threads of come with people, don't they, and the issues they bring to you. So, what are those? What are the most common threads that people bring?
People just feeling a bit overwhelmed, stressed, feel like they've lost themselves, which then affects the relationships and the, you know, sleep. I mean, I think with every client,
Yeah,
there's
sleep's
issues
the biggie, isn't it?
with sleep, and we know that if we can actually get sleep back under control, to just be able to start feeling more refreshed, you just feel like you can actually get that clarity of thought, to see what you can actually do to move forward as well. So it comes up in lots of different ways. I mean, there are some themes as well around people, you know, having like panic attacks or IBS and the ways they show up. But I think it's that overwhelming stress. And again, clients who sort of say, I just want me back. It's just what life's thrown at them. They just felt they've lost the way a bit. And to just, you know, a few sessions to move forward, to feel like that they can cope again in whatever that looks like, whether or not it's, you know, having had grief or had a really stressful time, or, you know, they're just feeling like work is getting on top of them, which obviously is a common thing, I understand. Yeah, so I think it's just that people feeling just a bit overwhelmed, and then that negative thought happens, and it's surprising how quickly that can shift.
Yeah, and I love hypnotherapy because it's such a gentle approach
Yeah.
to self-healing, isn't it? And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there are many things that you can teach people within the practice that they can go and use themselves,
Mhm.
techniques, you know, that once they've left your rooms, they can take home with them. Do you create content for people, or do they take anything away with them at the end of the session?
I don't do anything specific in the session, but all my clients have access to the relaxation audio, and that in itself seems to be extremely successful. I even had one of my clients earlier this year was in touch again still this week, sort of saying she still listens to it every single night, and
Yeah,
the whole process has been transformative. But she's taken that forward, that's
yeah,
just her time of
yeah,
deep
yeah.
relaxation that has just really resonated with her.
And it's that lovely link back to your voice and to the sessions with you that they can take away and take home, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
and
they,
I've got access to that for forever. And I always
yeah,
say to people, if for any reason you lose it, just get in touch, and you can more than happy to share that.
yeah, it's a safety net, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
part of a toolkit that you can encourage people to do, and especially last thing at night, those bedtime listens can be really therapeutic, can't they, for relaxing
yeah,
pre-sleep,
yeah,
pre-sleep.
yeah.
Oh, so any surprises with things that people bring to you?
I, th- I think one of the sometimes when somebody comes and you go like, can I really help with this? But about trusting the process. And one of
Yeah.
the areas I really love as well is helping people who have the things that show up physically as well, which you wouldn't have thought.
Okay.
So the whole brain body connection. So things like IBS, I've seen a lot of people with IBS, and
Yeah.
to hear that they've actually been able to go on holiday for the first time because they actually trust themselves to go on holiday, or
Yeah.
again, somebody who went to the pub for several hours for the first time in 10 years. I mean, wow, God.
Mm, mm.
But so those things sort of like how quickly from sometimes reported decades of having an issue within just a few weeks go like, oh my God. And I think that sometimes surprises me just how quickly there can be a turnaround. But it's also some of the physical things like people have issues like skin picking or hair pulling, you know, these habits that have quite a
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and
Quite an onward effect on a negative effect on people's lives, don't they? And
yeah,
crop up daily quite frequently. And when you see those drifting away or fading into the background, and the habit becoming a forgotten habit,
yes, yeah.
and the subconscious has let it go, that can be quite revelatory, I think. You know,
And
things that people have done for years, suddenly
yeah.
that they can let go, they can allow to leave their daily practice.
And to have clients come on the first time you see them like, I've tried everything. I really don't know if
Mm,
anything can help, but you are my last resort. And then within, you know, a few sessions, they're like, I didn't believe it could be like this. And, you know, you get a massive hug.
mm,
And it's that little
mm.
dance of like, yeah, that's, yeah, proud of them. Yeah.
I think there's a lot more awareness now of hypnotherapy. It doesn't have the sort of stage hypnosis stigma that it used to have when I was first practicing. You know, people used to almost have a fear of being under hypnosis, and what
Install.
would happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that's there anymore. I think it's become much more of an acceptable and regular therapy, hasn't it? So people are comfortable with coming. But I think what I found remarkable, and I'm sure you do the same, is just how receptive children are
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
to the process,
Yeah.
and how helpful even a very few number of sessions can be to help a child move through their attachments
Mm.
and reframe habits, and whether it's sleeping or letting go of anxieties, or I can remember working with night terrors and
Yeah.
flashbacks, and with kids in trauma, and how quickly they soften
Yes.
in a very gentle way, and I think for the client, a very non-intrusive way
Hmm.
into the world, because that's another worry, isn't it, that people, I'm sure, have when they come for therapy, that the thought of opening up,
Hmm.
um, and revealing their trauma or their issue
Yeah.
is too difficult. It's too
Yeah.
difficult. But hypnotherapy takes you through that barrier really nicely, doesn't it?
And what I practice being the solution focused hypnotherapy. So, people tell me, what the issue is when they first come. But a lot of the focus is very much on, okay, well, you're here now. Where are we going to get to? Where, what's your preferred future, if you like? What do you want it to be? And we very much focus on those positive, taking things forward. We're not expecting them to unpick and revisit that trauma, because that's, puts them in the negative part of the brain. It's not
Of
necessarily
course.
hope.
Yeah.
So the solution focus is about those small actionable steps to get them moving forward,
Right.
thinking
Right.
differently, developing new ways of thinking in a very gentle, forward-focused way, and you just see that shift. So again, there was a client who came to see me because I actually don't even know what the issue was. I don't necessarily need to know, but I just know that there was a negative occurrence that happened, so much so that it was the first thing they thought about when they woke up, and it was literally their own term was, it was taking joy out of the life. Whenever they wanted to be in a happy place, it was just this complete negativity and going back to this event. So we just worked gently with sort of small steps moving forward about, what steps could they take to be like just that little bit more in control. And by identifying those, again, just in a few weeks, they sat in front of me and said, I actually haven't had those thoughts since I sat here last week, when I realized between those 2 points that I haven't had those thoughts. I had to actually think, why was I coming to Linda again? And that was like a huge revelation, that just that negativity and those thought processes, and that got them in such a grip, had dissolved away. It had faded away, and they were able to enjoy and be present in their day-to-day life. And
It's
that's
a lovely process. It really is a beautiful process. And as you say, I had exactly the same thing. People coming to me in extreme trauma, and within a short space of time, not particularly recalling why. Or,
yes.
or I used to say to people, remember how you feel today, because that's going to be your benchmark as to how much you've shifted
Mm.
and move forward and grown. And it's very hard once you've started the process of allowing release and allowing patterns that have been sort of fixed in your subconscious to go. It's very hard to reconnect and to
Yeah.
remember, isn't it? Just how awful I felt, or how intrusive the thoughts were, or how entrenched that habit was.
Yes.
It is an amazing process. Is it something that you use to help you through
I
burnout?
I didn't. I wish I knew about this process, 'cause
Yeah,
now
yeah.
how helpful it would be. I bizarrely do listen to my own audio if I end up feeling stressed, and it does help. And I have copies of some other colleagues' audios as well. I think just knowing, though, taking a step back and almost doing that solution focused process on myself is so valuable. So identifying just what's one small step I can take to move
Mm,
forward, and just thinking about that full
mm.
focus, and it just stops that spiraling negativity getting hold as well. So I have had hypnotherapy myself through the training because I had a phobia. I do fears and phobias as well.
Oh yes, yeah, brilliant.
Helped convince me just how powerful this was, because I'd had a phobia, bizarrely, about eyes since I was about 7, and I knew where it came from. To the point I couldn't go hardly to the optician. If something came on telly, I'd actually faint or be physically ill. I wear contact lenses sometimes. Well, if I go out now, I wear contact lenses. It doesn't bother me at all. And I was thinking, yeah, that's pretty powerful. That being able to access our
It is. It is pretty powerful when you can do that compare and contrast and look back to these habits. I mean, phobic responses are yeah. I mean, they're the instant visual acceptance that my goodness, this works.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, I was here and now I'm here, and I have no connection or attachment to those emotions or
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Again, it's when
Yeah.
we were talking, when I asked you earlier, have you had any surprises? One of my biggest surprises with a client coming to me for hypnotherapy out of the blue was a lady who had a phobia of traffic lights.
Right.
Wanted to, it was taking her, I remember, an hour and 40 minutes. It's entrenched in my mind. It's about 25 years ago. An hour and 45 minutes to get to work following a route avoiding traffic lights rather than the 20 minutes it should have taken her. And she
Yes.
sort of got to the end of her tether, and 2 sessions, and she was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blocks that people have in their lives, I don't think there's enough understanding really about just what it can help you with,
Yeah.
and how the blocks that we all construct emotionally or mentally in our lives can be released by this gentle process.
Yeah, and it just helps so much, like helping people with needle phobia, who,
Yeah, oh, of course,
yeah,
of
that's what
course.
I've seen quite a few people that, and to be sent a photo of somebody with a pad on their arm going, I did it, because they needed
Yeah.
information and were terrified to go. So, that's
Yeah, it's life-changing stuff, supporting somebody to have no fear of going to the dentist, or uh, getting on a plane for the first time to have a holiday, or is a massive gift, isn't it, in somebody's life? It's very liberating and freeing, and
yes,
yeah,
and
it is a wonderful process.
it's a lovely way to spend your day, to work with people and to see these
Yeah.
amazing shifts and go, and the fact it ripples out into their families as well. It helps.
Yeah, it's a wider picture, especially with the children you work with. I can imagine that the relief for the wider family
Yeah.
is huge, because they do have such a, as you say, ripples on the pond there, knock-on effect to everybody's well-being
Yeah.
in the household.
Yeah, so it does feel like an honour to be able to do it, and I love it.
You wouldn't go back to doing your
No, not after I see the change this can make to people. I just wish that, I know I do lecture in it as well, because I think the more people who are hypnotherapists, the more people can access it. It just spreads that word of just what a lovely, gentle, positive process it is, and it helps with so many things. And it's wonderful to be able to be part of this community of hypnotherapists and wider therapists who are, I think now people are so much more open to exploring things that can help as well.
And I think one really important message I wanted to help you get across today is just how, going back again, just how supportive, if we've got mums and families listening, how supportive this process can be for children. My own daughter struggles with anxiety issues, and we received a letter yesterday to say that the waiting list for her CAMS appointment is 7 years.
7 years.
So I would positively encourage anybody, because you can work online. So anybody, wherever they find themselves in the UK and Ireland, who's seeing this out there, who has a child who is struggling with sleep, with anxiety, with confidence, with any issue really that is getting in the way of them living fully and being happy and being content, and COVID was a really difficult time for our young people, and coming out of the other side, this sort of support, which is readily available, would just be instantaneous for people and
Absolutely.
would be really supportive and a great help. And as I say, because you can work online with kids, which is what
Yes.
I
Yeah.
do, you know, it doesn't matter where people are watching this from. So, you know, anybody watching, you can find Linda on our wellbeing directory at thewellbeingdirectory.co.uk, Coda Hypnotherapy. So yeah, I really hope that message gets out there and we can, or you can help support a lot more young people, because that's really, really good.
Yeah.
But for now, Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a delight talking about one of my favourite things in the world.
Well,
One of my favourite therapies and one of the most effective therapies out there for moving people on. And we'll see you next time for another interesting conversation about wellbeing.
lovely. Thanks, Helen. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.